Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. It's official, Top Rank have announced that Jarrell Miller has joined their burgeoning heavyweight stable, having signed a multi-fight promotional agreement. And this is a co-promotional deal with his existing promoters, Dimitri Salita and Greg Cohen. So here is the press release on screen. I will go through the main quotes and then on to a few thoughts, but I don't want to completely rehash a video from last week, so I will provide a link to that one as well at the end of this one if you want to check it out if you already haven't done so. So the press release headlined, Big Baby is back, Top Rank signs Jarrell Miller to promotional agreement. You've got the promo graphic here, Jarrell Miller signed, and then on to the press release proper. So Jarrell Big Baby Miller, the big talking undefeated 300 plus pound heavyweight who hails from Brooklyn, has signed a multi-fight promotional deal with Top Rank. Miller, who is co-promoted by Greg Cohen Promotions and Salita Promotions, will make his Top Rank on ESPN debut in 2020. Jarrell Miller is serious about coming back and doing things the right way and becoming heavyweight champion of the world. This is Bob Arum, his new promoter, talking. He's one of boxing's most unique and exciting characters, but most importantly, he can fight. And then Miller himself says, minor setback for a major comeback. I'm coming for everything and everyone. No one is safe. Say hello to the bad guy. Everyone wants to portray the superhero. We don't live in a sunshine world. I'll never be the superhero in my world. The majority of the time, the villain wins. And then his co-promoter Greg Cohen says, I couldn't be happier that after months of hard work and perseverance, we were able to make this deal a reality. Top Rank is the perfect partner and ESPN the perfect platform for Jarrell to realize his full potential and become the dominant force in the heavyweight division. Time for Big Baby to get back in the ring. His other co-promoter Dimitri Salita says, Top Rank was my first promoter when I was fighting, so I know firsthand that Bob Arum and his team will create the right opportunities for Jarrell. Top Rank promotes many of the top heavyweights, including Tyson Fury, and Jarrell fits right in with all the big names in the division. Since I started promoting Jarrell as a 6-round fighter, I have been saying that he would be the next heavyweight champion from Brooklyn. Working with Top Rank, I am confident he will have the chance to realize that goal. Then it goes on to detail some of his professional career, wins over Gerald Washington, Marius Wok, Johan Dorper, Thomas Adamek, and Bogdan Dinu. Does actually mention that he did fail multiple VADA tests and denied a license by the New York State Athletic Commission to face Anthony Joshua. And then concludes with, now armed with a new long-term deal, Miller is determined to reclaim his status as one of the world's best big men. And Jarrell Miller has not fought since 2018. His last fight was against Bogdan Dinu. We'll come to the sort of potential what next in a moment. But yeah, so he says minor setback for a major comeback. That's a rather glib sort of way to sort of, the whole VADA situation, to sort of brush it aside. But I guess for him, he's saying he's past it and he's going to be, from what he says, embracing the bad guy role, that he is going to be the villain in the heavyweight division, which I guess, for a lot of fans right now, he is a villain to some extent given his past indiscretions. So I could see Miller really sort of playing on that, trying to become the anti-hero in his comeback. The other sort of stuff here by Bob Arum and his co-promoters, it is mostly sort of puff, nothing too much there to sort of weigh in on. This deal always looked like it was coming. As far back as August and September, there was a lot of talk about it, and it seemed like a deal might get done back then. And then obviously at the end of last year, start of this year, again, it bubbled up again, and now it is officially done. So it looked like this was coming for some time. There obviously were a few things that they had to square away before they could announce it, because seemingly 3 or 4 months ago, it looked like Miller was going to be fighting before the end of 2020 on some sort of Top Rank card, but it never happened. So we don't know all the ins and outs of if there was any delay, but he is now a Top Rank fighter. So he joins a stable with Tyson Fury, Kubrat Pulev, Tony Yoka to join the fold, Oscar Riverson talks to join the fold, Carlos Takam, Bryant Jennings. There are others as well. This is a pretty deep roster that Top Rank now has. And I know not everyone loves in-house fights, but Top Rank in the past year or so has built this really good stable that they can actually have some in-house fights, because they haven't been having any, because all these guys have only just recently joined. Ajit Kabayal among them as well, and they've got some prospects coming through. Jared Anderson, Sonny Conto, Guido Vianello. They're not ready for the likes of Kabayal, Yoka or Miller right now, but there is some fights that can be had, and I wouldn't mind seeing Jarrell Big Baby Miller in a fight against Carlos Takam. That's one that he has signaled. He's called Takam lunch food, and seemingly for a comeback fight, that's a pretty decent one. Carlos Takam comes to fight, so we'll have to see what happens. They've left it pretty open to when he's actually coming back. They've just sort of said 2020. They haven't said, the next few months or first 6 months of the year, just 2020. So maybe we shouldn't expect something to happen immediately. Maybe the right building blocks just have to sort of fall into place. Perhaps they have to satisfy some requirements to get him licensed somewhere. I don't know. So 2020 seems just a little bit vague in terms of him returning, but he is a top-ranked fighter now. Obviously, they would probably like to have the bigger names in the top-ranked stable, the likes of a Kubrat Pulev, and more likely they'd want Tyson Fury, but I can't see that happening. I just think that Tyson Fury's probably got bigger fish to fry. Even if he loses to Deontay Wilder, if Fury had 2 losses in a row, Wilder kept his belt, I think Tyson Fury would be going after the biggest fights and the biggest money, and that possibly could be an Anthony Joshua fight or something elsewhere. At the moment, Jarrell Miller really doesn't have anything to offer him besides trash talk, and effectively that's how he talked himself into an Anthony Joshua fight, remembering he was fighting guys like Bogdan Dinu and Thomas Adamek, and he's been inactive for a year. So Miller's got to come back and get a couple of scalps on his name, try to get some sort of minor title, or get some high rankings across the board, because right now a Tyson Fury fight just seems to be a sort of distant dream. He needs to actually work his way back into something, and it has to be more than just trash talk. He's got to fight a name, and it's got to be a meaningful name before he could land a really big fight like that. Because at the moment, I think fans are down on Miller, and given he sort of had been coasting his way to a heavyweight title, talking his way into it for the most part, having tune-up fights against Bogdan Dinu and a rinsed and faded Thomas Adamek, he's got to show us something. And given the cloud with the VADA tests and that sort of thing, and the perception maybe he had been doing it longer, I mean, these are just some of the things that people think, and obviously they want to see him. Can he still be 300 plus pounds? Can he still come forward, show an engine, and be that guy that just wears people down into the dirt like he had been doing against a number of opponents? His pressure, his volume just, really sort of took the soul from different fighters that he faced. Gerald Washington among them. So it'll be interesting to see what Miller looks like in his comeback, because obviously if the stamina and certain things, the way that he fights, aren't the same, people will be asking questions. But if he really wants to get back in the conversation for a massive fight, he's got to take a more direct path, and that means tough fights. But given Jarrell Miller hasn't really shown a proclivity to doing that, I don't know what we'll be seeing in the next year, but if we do see some in-house fights like a Jarrell Miller versus Ajit Kabayal, Bryant Jennings, Carlos Takam, even Oscar Rivas if he joins them on a co-promotional deal, all very good fights. Maybe there's a different order that you'd have them in. If you could have like a Takam first, then maybe a Bryant Jennings, and then working his way up to a Kabayal or potentially an Oscar Rivas. That wouldn't be a bad way to come back. Hopefully they don't just toss him soft fights, because no one wants to see it. We've been there, done that, got the postcard from Miller on that. But yeah, what do you make of this? Miller officially with Top Rank, announced by Top Rank on a multi-fight, presumably multi-year deal. Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.